up, y'all? Good morning. Hope you're feeling good. Fucking Monday. A little bit later than usual. It's about 6 o'clock. I'm normally up and out here 20 minutes before now. Or no, probably like 45 minutes before now. It's actually like 6:30, so. But it's all right. One of them days when that process didn't get as great a sleep as I could have last night, but again, part of the process of figuring out becoming. I had a great weekend. I had a great weekend with my family. So now it's time to get back to the work. Back to the work. Let's make sure everything's good on camera here. There's some bent over rows today. Something like that. I go straight into it. 135, hit something. Warm up. Man, a lot been on my mind lately. A couple different things, several different things, as always. One topic in particular is the idea of we are more than just bodies and flesh. We are more than just physical beings out here living life in whatever way we please. We are much more than that. I know if you watch my stuff like that, you already know that I feel that way. There's science that backs it up nowadays, but I won't get into that. I'm obviously not a professional in that regard. But many of us go through life wondering why things are happening the way they are. We blame somebody else, we blame something else, we lose our power, and then we fall on that path of continuing to blame other people. Why is it that we think that that's okay? Why is it that we think that blaming other people for anything is actually going to help? I believe that playing the blame game, is one of the biggest potential wasters out there. I believe that it's a giving away of one's soul. When you give away your power by blaming someone else, you're like one with the devil at that point. You're saying, you know what, no matter what I would have done differently, I couldn't have changed what went on, and you have a negative remembrance of it, right? Some things we can't change, right? There's plenty of things we can't control. We have to know the difference, right? So, let's get this. We have to know the difference between the times that we need to accept the things that we couldn't change and move on. The difference between that and our possible tendency to place blame on someone else, to say, you know what, that's their fault, it wasn't me, and have an emotional response. Most of the time that's what happens. We have an emotional response to something that happened in our life, and so we place blame on someone else. We say it's their fault, not mine. And we have this negative remembrance of what went on, which then stays in our mind, stays in our body, stays inside of us, and we attach to it. We create a pattern around it, a mental blueprint by which we say, next time something like that happens, I know, right? And now that's not to say you shouldn't learn from the negative things and learn from the things you go through. That's obviously what you're meant to do. But my point is that much of the time, when we are acting from an unaccountable state, we fall into the position of placing blame on someone else, when really we had a part to play in all of it. Now, should we feel guilty about the things that we fucked up in a situation? No, heaven no, God, guilty never helps. But we should know what our part to play was. We should be able to figure that out through reflection if we don't already know from the beginning. Tell you a story about me, like, so much of my process has been about learning how to be more accountable for myself. Many different times, many different ways. I didn't realize how unaccountable I was until I failed and had no choice but to either play victim and place the blame, or wake up and be more accountable. Say, realize that certain things were my fault, and if I didn't fix them, I will continue to face that same result. So many times again, I failed on my face. I went through this process of figuring out who I was meant to be by failing, by understanding what it meant to go for something. And even though it feels like I gave it my all, I still failed. I still faced pain around the results by which I followed. So I went through this process very early on of realizing how much I had to work on and had to fix. Now, much of the time throughout this journey, I wasn't anywhere near as spiritual as I am now. I was starting to learn that process once again. But I didn't realize I did have guilt. I did have guilt to work for what I wasn't accomplishing. So it hurt me in many other ways because I had this self-doubt in the back of my mind, because as I failed, not only did I become more accountable, that was good, but I also felt guilty about the failures. And so what this was an energy drain. It didn't help me get closer. That part of it pulled me away from that result I actually wanted in a certain way. Now, was I working on it in general? Yes. My point is that if I didn't have that guilt, it would have been a faster transition and transcendence for me. It's taken me years to realize that I do have a lot of guilt and shame tendencies where it's relatively easy for me to feel like guilty about something in my life, right? And guilty never helps, once again. So, my point that I want you to understand here today is that the process of spirituality, the process of self-transcendence, is a process of becoming more and more accountable for the things you can control, and then an acceptance of the things that you can't control. It's the serenity prayer, right? But it goes for everything in life, no matter what religion or spiritual basis or anything you're in. You must accept that there are a lot of things you can control and that you need to work on and do better in, and as you do so, things will change in your life. But there's also a lot that you can't control. So as you work through those things and you accept the things that you can't control in your life, you give yourself more time, energy, space, and grace to do better with your life in the ways that you can. And that is the process of spirituality. That is the process of self-transcendence. Most time, again, what happens is we find pain, we attach to that pain, we make the pain part of us, right? We attach to it, and then it becomes a part of our story, by then which we can't understand new stories and new experiences and new patterns because we're attached to the old that we don't even like, truthfully. anyways, I'll call it there today. Hopefully I'll be able to get this video uploaded much quicker than the last one because it's shorter. So hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day.